In the news tonight,
harvests contributed immensely to Uganda's development and global.
Parliament pays tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who died on Thursday last week.
All the facts of how many those void tickets were, void or voided.
MPs on Kosase Committee probe internal dealings that made Uganda Airlines lose over 200 billion shillings in questionable avoided tickets.
Take heart that we know the concerns, the morals, the practices.
Also tonight, Minister of State for Gender and Cultural Affairs, Peace Mutuzo, warns Nyege Nyege festival goers to avoid trouble by shunning immoral conduct. And in sports, Uganda national beach soccer team, the Sand Cranes, are in camp to prepare for Kosafa Beach Soccer Tournament. A very good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in to CTV. This is CTV's PM edition. My name is Bernadette Apio. On sign language is Isaac Luchamuzi. In our top story tonight, members of Parliament have paid tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who died last week at Balmoral Palace in Scotland. This was during a special sitting at the August House. The Queen was praised for her distinguished leadership skill, her sense of fashion and courage. Mark Chigundo starts us off tonight.
The motion to pay tribute was presented by Prime Minister Robina Nabanja. It was seconded by Acting Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Muwanga Chivumbi, who is also Tambala County Member of Parliament.
Aware that Her Majesty transformed the British Empire from a colonial group of countries to a commonwealth of independent and equal states, and through her reign played an important unifying role that reinforced the links by which the Commonwealth joins people together across the globe.
I'd like to join you, colleagues, in extending our sincere sympathy and heartfelt condolences to the royal family, the people of United Kingdom, upon the passing of an icon of the British monarchy. The Queen made multiple concessions in the modern era. She demonstrated formidable ability to adapt to the changing times with a high sense of duty, goodwill, and professionalism.
Parliament dedicated 30 minutes to pay tribute to the Queen. MPs praised her for being an exemplary, courageous, and a distinguished leader, and her sense of fashion.
A lady of class and fashion, and yet she was so humble and loving. She was an inspiration to all, especially women in leadership. She was an environmentalist.
Her leadership qualities that we learned from her. From the time she ascended to the throne at a very young age of 25 years, she showed maturity, character, determination, and commitment of the highest order, which has made her one of the longest reigning monarchs in the world.
The Queen was an advocate for the rule of law and human rights. How I wish that we use this mourning week, and I hereby urge government to use the same week of mourning and pardon political prisoners.
Earlier, Nabanja signed a condolence book at the British High Commission in Kamocha, Kampala. The Prime Minister was received by the British High Commissioner to Uganda, Kate Airy.
No, don't worry, I will come. I promise I will come. Yeah, and I think we have tried to...
She extended her sympathy and prayers to the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth fraternity upon the death of Her Royal Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. Nabanja said the Queen's dedicated leadership of over 70 years will forever be remembered. British High Commissioner to Uganda, Kate Airy, appreciated the Prime Minister's condolence message. Heston Munanura, CTV, PM Edition.
May her soul rest in eternal peace. Still in Parliament, the Parliamentary Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises has grilled officials of Uganda Airlines who allegedly awarded various contracts without following procurement processes, which resulted into losses. The committee continues to scrutinize the 2020-2021 Auditor General's report that cited a number of irregularities in the management of Uganda Airlines.
Thank you, Chairperson.
According to the Auditor General's report, 3 companies were irregularly picked to provide publicity for the national carrier. The companies are Stalio Advertising Limited, that was contracted at 35 million shillings per month, WMC Africa at 36 million per month, Abavata, that was paid 175 million every month. The report also implicated the Chief Executive Officer of the airline, Jennifer Bamturachi, for influencing the awarding of a more expensive contract to Abavata, yet other service providers had less expensive bids.
So WMC, in its proposal, they were proposing to do this work at 35 million per month. Am I correct?
They're saying they will do 35 lump sum price in currency. I don't know what that means, but it says lump sum price. It doesn't say per month.
So lump sum would mean...
I'm not sure, sir.
Who is sure? Because Giordano has given me the documents. 2, one is proposing to do the work at 36.8 million per month. The other is proposing to do the work at 35.2 million per month. Abavata, which was chosen, proposed to do the work at 174.6 million per month. Why? It's not making sense.
During the meeting, Joel Senyonyi, the co-SASEC chairman, tasked Bamturachi to explain her relationship with Abavata.
I asked you if you had any connection to Abavata. You denied. And then I showed you a contract where you signed as a witness for Abavata, a contract between Abavata and another company altogether, not even Uganda Airlines. And you accepted that that was your signature, you signed, establishing connection between you and Abavata.
I know the person, and I mentioned that. Even when I was talking to my former, at the time he was a technical advisor, if you notice, I sent him a profile because he asked for a person to do the event. I said, I know a company owned by a person. So I sent him the profile. So yes, I sent the profile, but like I mentioned, since I wasn't part of the task force, I'm not sure if they had 3 companies or 4.
This was after members of parliament found out a phone recording in which Bamturachi communicated to the ex-chief executive officer of Uganda Airlines, seconding Abavata. It was also found that Bamturachi's post box number is similar to that of Abavata, which depicts conflict of interest.
Post office box number of Abavata is 8389. The post office box number that you use in some of the documents yourself is 8389. So the documents, you know, the contracts and so on. How does that happen? Because 2 individuals, 2 entities can't have the same box office number. So does Abavata use your box office number, or do you use the box office number of Abavata? Who does the 8389 belong to?
The owner of the organization was a pastor that I was known to at the time. And as a friend, he allowed me to use his 8389. Now, I wasn't aware that it's the same he uses for his company. But yeah, I know the person, and I mentioned that.
The MPs questioned other dubious internal deals that made Uganda Airlines lose over 200 billion shillings on questionable avoided tickets. Avoided tickets are tickets that are not cancelled before or after a client travels, and the customer can use them to travel continuously.
With all the facts of how many those void tickets were, void or voided, whatever the term, and how much was corresponding to those void tickets, and in essence, how much Uganda Airlines lost to that fraud, because it is fraud, it's forgery in a sense, you know, because if you travel for free and yet you're showing the system that I actually paid when you didn't pay.
Heston Munandura, CTV, PM Edition.
Members of Parliament representing fishing constituencies have asked the Prime Minister to take affirmative action against members of the army who are harassing people on the legs. The MPs made the remarks today during a consultative meeting with the Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja.
Enough, right, the people are economically disabled.
The meeting held today between the Prime Minister and MPs from fishing constituencies was to follow up on the deferred fisheries bill that the President sent back to Parliament for further scrutiny and adjustment.
Of course, our livelihood is the lake, and we all mean well. Our interest is to see that our people are really transformed economically. But where we think that we are maybe taking a wrong direction, it is our duty to remind ourselves that this is the right direction.
The fisheries bill was not assented to by the President because of some sections that are considered to impede effective management of Uganda's water bodies. One of the areas being contested is whether or not to involve the army in managing lakes.
They would have sold fish and bought probably portion, but now they have to eat bitter cassava.
Our interest is to see that our people are really transformed economically. But where we think that we are maybe taking a wrong direction, it is our duty to remind ourselves that this is the right direction.
People are economically disabled to the extent that some, like the minister said, they are borrowed. Others are selling land now. When you sell land in a community like Pakwach, what else do you have?
According to the Prime Minister, the Army's involvement on the water bodies is legitimate and is meant to handle security concerns among other issues. The Prime Minister says isolated cases of indiscipline by the Army will be handled accordingly.
But we have destroyed boats for the fishers and we have not given them any alternative. And therefore I look at this as a very good point, and therefore we have all agreed that we are going to meet the President so he can give a policy directive. For me as a fellow fisher.
The consultative meeting was also attended by State Ministers for Fisheries Helena Doa, Fred Bruno for Agriculture, and senior officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, with the hopes of ironing out any differences between government and the members of Parliament from the fishing constituencies.
It is to pick a few of our leaders from the districts that we represent, okwida okufuna engagement oba okwogera ku niibwe boona batuuse ebirowoozo byabwe ebibaluma kubanga obuvubi n'okwemerera ku igwanga. So twenda okwebaza Right Honorable nti weebala okutuwa omukisa guno.
Overlook into the President's dissatisfaction of the clauses returned, scrutinize them properly, and assess to the interests of the public.
Hope Nyongereza, CTV, PM Edition.
And meeting the President.
Thank you, Hope, for that report. Now, in the past few days, the residents of Kampala have had to endure heavy downpours that have disrupted daily activities and have left a trail of destruction across various parts of the city. Videos circulating on social media have shown massive destruction of property, and some reports also indicate loss of lives. We have more.
The rainy season has of late ravaged many parts of the country. In eastern Uganda, people have been killed in the Elgon region, and just recently over 16 people were killed by landslides triggered by rains in western Uganda, specifically Kasese district, which is located in the Rwenzori region. While addressing journalists on Tuesday on the cabinet resolutions, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Bariomunsi, revealed that government was embarking on plans to relocate the people staying in the disaster-prone areas that have been affected by the floods.
And therefore, our message as government is that people who live in these mountainous areas including Chigezo, where I come from, should develop that consciousness that some areas are highly risky, and where you can, you should consider relocating to an area which is safer. And we are going to dispatch government technocrats to these areas to help the people, to educate them. Because somebody might be living on the slope of a mountain.
The heavy downpours have not only affected rural areas in Uganda, but also the urban centers, especially the capital city, Kampala. Many videos that have been circulating on social media have shown massive destruction from the floods. Properties worth millions have been destroyed, and several businesses have also been disrupted. Some reports have also indicated that some lives have also been lost. Several experts have put the blame on the people who have encroached on wetlands and the illegal construction of buildings, something the KCCA spokesperson Simon Kasiate confirms.
But we also know that there is quite a lot of wanton behavior by we city residents who don't recognize that KCCA has put a stop to your construction, has not given you permission to construct, has not given you permission to do any excavation works. But some of them use the might of whatever it is that they have around them to fraudulently or even blatantly refuse to adhere or comply with our direction.
According to Kasiate, another factor that has led to these floods is the poor disposal of plastics, which clog the drainage system. KCCA says it's now working on ways it can mitigate these floods.
We have runoff ways or drainage channels, as you know them, which we ensure that every single day we maintain through desilting, through picking up of the debris and rubbish that is thrown in there, not by KCCA, but that is thrown there by we city residents.
Currently, Kampala City accommodates over 3.6 million people, with the population growing at a rapid pace, and there is strong worry that more wetlands and protected areas will be encroached on, which may lead to more flooding. Safi Mokele Baluku and Conrad Asimwe for CTV PM Edition.
PM Edition takes a short break and returns with more. Do stay with us.
Three words: convenience, passion, and pride. Introducing the KCCA FC app, made for you to interact with the best football club in Uganda, giving you the latest news, transfers, membership options, merchandise online shop, match ticket booking, and fan zone instant messaging. To download the beta app, go to Google Play Store on your Android and search for KCFC. Download the app, sign up, and voila, you're in. Yes, the app is only available for Android users. iOS users, we are coming soon. The KCCFC app, inspired by you, made for you.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to PM Edition. The Uganda National Pavilion has been awarded the 5th position at the 59th International Art Exhibition in Venice, Italy, putting the country in the limelight and showcasing its cultural heritage as well as promoting cultural relations. The Minister of State for Gender and Cultural Affairs, Peace Mutuzo, congratulated the 2 representatives who have put Uganda in the limelight. Here is more.
Mutuzo encouraged all artisans in Uganda to showcase their skills as they promote Uganda's culture. She assured them that arrangements are underway to invest in local artists, adding that a conducive environment will be provided for all skilled artisans in the country.
The investment we are making is to provide, first of all, a conducive environment within which each one is able to participate and practice their cultural heritage without any interference. The presence and the preservation of the National Cultural Center, even during the rationalization.
She said that plans for the amendment of the corporate law regarding local artisans are in progress to ensure that the artisan industry is able to reap benefit.
We are defining the roles and responsibilities of the art and creative industry and how they are able to speak to their artifacts in the Museum and Monument Bill. So we are so protective of the art and creative industry. But we're also conscious that this is one of the new areas where tourism can thrive and survive and earn an income to the country, but also earn income to the artists themselves.
On the upcoming Nyege Nyege festival in Jinja, Mutuzo urged the public to avoid immoral conduct at the event to avoid trouble.
We are ready to mitigate instead of stopping it prematurely, because we should have started with that if we're not prepared for it. So take heart that we know the concerns, the morals, the practices, the norms, the attitudes, and we respect our culture. And we shall ensure that nothing scandalizes our varied heritage.
In a bid to promote Uganda's culture, the Uganda National Cultural Center will hold a cultural festival from October 7th to October 9th as the country celebrates 60 years of independence. Hope Nyongereza, CTV PM Edition.
Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has flagged off a consignment of relief food items to assist the famine-struck Karamoja region. The relief items dispatched include posho, beans, cooking oil and sugar. The relief food consignment was funded by Direct Aid Society based in Kuwait.
On behalf of government and the President of the Republic of Uganda, and on behalf of the people of Karamoja as the Prime Minister of this country, I want to thank you, Direct Aid, for coming to rescue our people who are in Karamoja and in need of food. So let me take this opportunity to flag off. Let it go to Karamoja to save lives. Thank you. Kagenda kaunga watu bakaje na vile bara mnafe tujja kujaba shangai.
When the issue of the food insecurity in Karamoja has come, the office in Kuwait has requested us to send a proposal for helping the people in Karamoja. And we sent our proposal. We got this project. It is the first one, and we're expecting another one. This one is food items of 60 tons, consists of posho, beans, cooking oil, and sugar.
The Jabazinga of Busoga has asked government to promote local languages into the school curriculum, as well as construction of schools in Uganda. He was meeting members of the Education Policy Review Commission who are carrying out consultations on how Uganda's education can be improved.
The Education Commission, Policy Review Commission, is set out to look at our education sector and sports sector. It is to come up with a new policy that will guide education in this country.
The infrastructure, given the current fleet, they have dilapidated buildings. very many parents, including Nassau region, are discouraged to take their children to such schools. Therefore, we are requesting for your help to find a way of revamping our traditional schools.
Lwaki watandikira Busoga okusooka nte zeena ndi mukulu mu kakiiko nte balina okwenda ebintu byadde Busoga era mpulizibwa. Ekyokubiri nti Busoga neeri kusinga okuba ni obubonero obulaga nti ebyokusoma byaffe biriise benkera.
A request to the public to submit written proposals from all walks of life. Any individual can stand out, can come up with an idea that is helpful in leading us to the direction that we need. That is to have a robust education system that is relevant for the time that we are in.
In news from the region, William Ruto, Kenya's new president, has ordered an annual increase of the judiciary budget by 3 billion shillings for the next 5 years, while another airstrike in Tigray region kills at least 10 people. On his first day in office, he re-echoed his commitment to work with the judiciary as he appointed and officiated the swearing-in of 6 judges recommended for appointment to the Court of Appeal and High Court by the Judicial Service Commission 3 years ago. The newly appointed judges are Weldon Korir, Agre Muchelelo, George Odunga, and Professor Joel Ngugi to the Court of Appeal. Also named for appointment by the President were High Court Registrar Elizabeth Omange and Chief Magistrate Evans Makori as Environment and Lands Court judges. The President has also ordered an annual increase of the judiciary budget by 3 billion shillings for the next 5 years, which is intended to ease operations of the judicial and court operations amidst cries of case clogging on the walls of justice delivery. Earlier in the day, the President hosted Sudan's President Salva Kiir and Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. Ruto said that they discussed ways to strengthen bilateral ties between Sudan and Kenya and boost intra-African trade within the East African community and other continents. And in his meeting with Somalia's head, they primarily discussed Somalia's state of insecurity and a promise of trade between the two countries will be expanded to allow for easier movements of key trade commodities such as miraa and fish across borders. 2 airstrikes hit the capital of Ethiopia's Tigray region, Mekelle, Wednesday morning, killing 10 people. According to local health workers, the death toll could climb as more patients were reaching the hospital. On Tuesday morning, a drone strike hit a university campus in Mekelle, causing an unknown number of injuries. Tigray rebels have accused the government of carrying out fresh drone attacks in the regional capital, Mekelle, 2 days after they said they were ready for an immediate ceasefire. It's close to 3 weeks since violence flared up again after a 5-month truce. Although Addis Ababa had previously set up a 7-member team to negotiate on behalf of the government, it has not officially responded to the latest statements by the Tigrayans that they would accept the African Union mediation efforts. The AU, the UN, and the US welcomed the announcement by the Tigrayan forces, but Ethiopia's federal government is yet to publicly respond amid reports of more talks between the two sides in Djibouti. Several airstrikes have hit Mekelle since fighting resumed between Tigray forces and Ethiopia's government in late August, shattering a period of relative calm since late March. On the international scene, mourners have paid their last respects to Queen Elizabeth II. The late Queen's body will lie in state for 4 days, while the EU president reveals plan to reduce gas and electricity prices in the region. Here is more. Queen Elizabeth II's coffin will leave Buckingham Palace for the last time today, as it is taken amid somber pageantry on a horse-drawn gun carriage past crowds of mourners to the Houses of Parliament, where the late monarch will lie in state for 4 days. Crowds began massing early along the flag-lined road outside the palace for the procession from the monarch's official London residence to the historic Westminster Hall at Parliament. King Charles III and other members of the royal family will walk behind the coffin. Thousands of people are gathering on the mall outside Buckingham Palace and along the banks of the River Thames hours before the coffin procession begins. People in the crowd cheering along when Charles waved to them as he drove from his residence, Clarence House, to the palace. Crowds are the latest manifestation of a nationwide outpouring of grief and respect for the only monarch most Britons have ever known, who died at her beloved Balmoral summer retreat on Thursday at age 96, ending a 70-year reign. People stood behind metal barriers or sat on folding chairs, umbrellas at the ready, takeout coffees in hand under grey skies hours before the coffin was scheduled to leave the landmark palace at 2:22 p.m. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen has called for cuts to electricity use across the bloc and windfall taxes on energy firms to tackle high prices. She told the European Parliament that gas and electricity prices had hit all-time highs after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. She called for electricity consumption to be cut at peak hours by at least 5%, but plans for a cap on the price of natural gas, a key Russian export to the EU, were put on hold. The plan outlined in Strasbourg targets excess revenues with proposals to skim the profits of low-carbon electricity producers and implement a de facto windfall tax on the oil, gas and coal sectors. The money raised, estimated to be 140 billion euros, would go to families and businesses across the EU's 27 states. The EU's member states will pore over the proposals with hopes of an agreement by the end of this month. Von der Leyen also announced she would be visiting Ukraine again later on Wednesday for talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky, saying solidarity with Ukraine will remain unshakable. PM Edition takes another break. Don't go away. Sports is up next. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. In sports tonight, baby Victoria Pearl's run to next year's Under-19 ICC Cricket World Cup has ended today after a semi-final defeat by Rwanda in Botswana in the World Cup qualifiers. Uganda, who won the toss and elected to bowl first, unfortunately lost by 56 runs to Rwanda. Uganda will take on Namibia in the fourth playoff on Monday.
Last month, the Sang Prince beat Comoros 9-5 over 2 legs, a feat that helped them qualify for only a second Africa Cup of Nations that takes place next month. However, before AFCON, the Sang Prince would participate in the COSAFA tournament for the first time after an invitation. Today, the team entered camp to prepare for the tournament that starts on September 25th in South Africa. Africa. Sun Cranes captain Mary Chibirige believes that taking part in the COSAFA Beach Soccer Championship will aid Uganda having good preparations for the forthcoming Africa Beach Soccer Cup of Nations.
COSAFA, yeah, we are preparing for COSAFA right now, and COSAFA will prepare us for AFCON. As a captain, I'm happy to lead the team 2 consecutive times actually to AFCON, and I know all my teammates are in the same boat. So we have prepared well and we are ready to fight.
The skipper lauded FUFA for helping the team prepare adequately for COSAFA and promises the team is ready to perform.
We are happy that FUFA has said that for us, the Sun Cranes.
At the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Beach Soccer Championship, Uganda is pulled in Group B alongside Tanzania, Egypt and Mauritius. On the other hand, the draws for the group stage for the Africa Beach Soccer Cup of Nations will be conducted on Friday, September 16th. Absalom Wangoru for CTV PM Edition.
We apologize for the mishap in the story. The story was meant for the Uganda national beach soccer team, the Sun Cranes, who have entered camp to prepare for the COSAFA beach soccer tournament. The Cranes earned an invite to take part in the tournament that starts from September 25th to October 1st in Durban, South Africa. They will use the tournament to prepare for the AFCON Championship in next month. That story does bring us to the end of PM Edition, but it is a Wednesday, and Wednesday on CTV. The big debate comes up right after the news. Heston Monanura is in standby in the next studio. Heston, good evening. It is good to see you.
Good evening, Bernadette. Thank you for the PM Edition.
I see you are the man today in the yellow seat with all the tough questions.
Yes, actually sitting in for Gabriel Iguma, the regular show host. Well, tonight we discuss matters Parliament. You know, the 11th Parliament has had its fair share of melodrama. It has also come off petty on some issues, but also on the flip side, the 11th Parliament has stood for the right causes and discussed substantive issues. So, well, tonight we are discussing the quality of debate in Parliament, assessing Parliament, is Parliament making significant strides towards serving our nation? That is the topic tonight.
I know you're going to feel right at home. Parliament is your area of expertise, so I'll let you take on that. Well, you heard it from him. Do join him straight after the news for the big debate. You can also join the conversation on all our social media platforms. Use the hashtag the CTV Big Debate. From me, Bernadette Apio, and the entire PM Edition crew, it is good night.